The complete works of Swami Vivekananda. The study of Sankhya, Part 1. Philosophy. Prakriti is called by the Sankhya philosophers indiscrete and defined as the perfect balance of materials in it. And it naturally flows that in perfect balance there cannot be any motion. In the primal state before any manifestation, where there was no motion but perfect balance, this Prakriti was indestructible because decomposition or death comes from instability or change. Again, according to the Sankhya, atoms are not the primal state. The universe does not come out of atoms. They may be the secondary or the tertiary state. The primordial material may form into atoms and become grosser and bigger things. And as far as modern investigations go, they rather point towards the same conclusion. For instance, in the modern theory of ether, if you say ether is atomic, it will not solve anything. To make it clearer, they say that air is composed of atoms. And we know that ether is everywhere, interpenetrating, omnipresent, and that these air atoms are floating as it were in ether. If ether again be composed of atoms, there will still be spaces between every two atoms of ether. What fills up these? If you suppose that there is another ether still finer, which does this, there will be again other spaces between the atoms that are finer ether which require filling up. And so it will be regressus ad infinitum, what the Sankhya philosophers call the cause leading to nothing. So the atomic theory cannot be final. According to Sankhya, nature is omnipresent. One omnipresent mass of nature in which are the causes of everything that exists. What is meant by cause? Cause is the fine state of the manifested state, the unmanifested state of that which becomes manifested. What do you mean by destruction? If it is reverting to the cause, if you have a piece of pottery and give it a blow, it is destroyed. What is meant by this is that the effects go back into its own nature. The materials out of which the pottery was created go back into their original state. Beyond this idea of destruction, any idea such as annihilation is in the face of it absurd. According to modern physical science, it can be demonstrated that all destruction means that which Kapila said ages ago, simply reverting to the cause. Going back to the final form is all that is meant by destruction. You know how it can be demonstrated in a laboratory that matter is indestructible. At this present stage of our knowledge, if any man stands up and says that matter or the soul becomes annihilated, he is only making himself ridiculous. It is only uneducated, silly people who would advance such a proposition. And it is curious that modern knowledge coincides with what those old philosophers taught. It must be so, and that is the proof of the truth. They proceed in their inquiry taking up mind as a basis. They analyze the mental part of this universe and come to certain conclusions, which we, analyzing the physical parts, must come to, for they both must lead to the same center. You must remember that the first manifestation of this Prakriti in the cosmos is what the Sankhya call Mahat. We may call it intelligence, the great principle, its literal meaning. The first change in Prakriti is this intelligence. I would not translate it by self-consciousness, because that would be wrong. Consciousness is only a part of this intelligence. Mahat is universal. It covers all the grounds of subconsciousness, consciousness, and superconsciousness. So any one of the state of consciousness as applied to this Mahat would be sufficient. In nature, for instance, you note certain changes are going on before your eyes, which you can see and understand. But there are other changes so much finer that no human perception can catch them. They are from the same cause, the same Mahat is making these changes. Out of Mahat comes the universal egoism. These are all substance. There is no difference between matter and mind except in degree. The substance is the same in finer or grosser form, one changes to the other. This exactly coincides with the conclusions of modern psychological research. By believing in teaching that the mind is not separate from the brain, you will be saved from much fighting and struggling. Egoism again changes into two varieties. In one variety, it changes into organs. Organs are of two kinds, organs of sensation and organs of reaction. They are not the eyes or the ears, but back of those are what you call brain centers and nerve centers and so on. This egoism, this matter or substance becomes changed, and out of this material are manufactured these centers. Of the same substance is manufactured the other variety, the tanmatras, fine particles of matter, which strike our organs of perception and bring about sensation. You cannot perceive them, but only know them as they are. Out of the tanmatras are manufactured the gross matter, earth, water, and all the things that we see and feel. I want to impress this on your mind. It is very hard to grasp because in Western countries the ideas are so queer about mind and matter. It is hard to get those impressions out of our mind. I myself had tremendous difficulty being educated in Western philosophy in my boyhood. These are all cosmic things. Think of the universal extension of matter, unbroken, one substance differentiated, which is the first state of everything, and which begins to change in the same way as milk changes to curd. This first change is called Mahat. The substance changes into the grosser matter called egoism. The third change is manifested as universal sense organs and the universal fine particles, and these last again combine and become this gross universe. With our eyes, nose, and ears, we see, smell, and hear. This is the cosmic plan according to the Sankhya, and what is the cosmos must be also microcosmic.